Hello students, we shall speak in today's section about supplementary genes. We have already spoken about supplementary genes in a previous video taking the example of coat color in mice wherein we get the result of 9:3:4 which is the example of supplementary genes. Just to recall, like whatever we have spoken, that is your supplementary genes or complementary genes or gene interaction, that is your 13:3, these are all example of non-allelic gene interaction. So since I have already spoken about the coat color in mice, that is 9:3:4, I shall not repeat it here again. We shall take the second example, that is the comb pattern in fowls, wherein we get a result of 9:3:3:1. Even this is an example of supplementary genes, so don't get confused. One, we spoke about the coat color, wherein we are getting 9:3:4 in mice, and now we'll be speaking about the comb types in the fowl. Just to define what is supplementary genes, we shall recall it once again. So in simple terms, let me explain it. So suppose say there is a dominant gene which I shall represent it in the form of A. Okay. So this A is a dominant gene and it is independent. That is, it can produce its effect independently of any other gene. And suppose say there is another gene which I shall represent it in the form of B. This B, though being dominant, it is not independent. So it means to say that A is a dominant gene and it is independent. It can produce its effect independently. B is also another dominant gene, but it shall not produce any independent effect. But when this B is present along with A, it can bring about an effect or change in the A. That is, please remember, A is a dominant gene and it is independent gene. That is, A can show its effect independently. There is another dominant gene, B. But B, though it is a dominant gene, it cannot show its effect independently. Okay? It cannot show its effect independently. But suppose say this dominant B is present along with A, then this B can bring about a change in the A. That is what is the meaning of the supplementary gene. So we shall take the example of, as I said earlier, that is the chickens or the fall colors in these birds. Now there are four types of combs in the chicken, that is walnut, rose, pea and single. Okay, so these are the four types of comb. See here, what you're seeing here is the comb shape. So the parent generation, what we have taken is the rose comb and the pea comb. So one, you can consider any one of them as a male and the other as the female. So whenever we say rose comb, it is a dominant. That is, we write it as R and its alternate form, allele, R, R. When we say pea color, pea comb, we represent it in the capital P. Okay, so R is independent and P is also independent. So when there is R, it is a rose comb. That chicken is a rose comb. When there is a capital P, that chicken is a pea comb, the shape. Okay? But what is supplementary gene? What did we define supplementary gene as? These two are showing, these two are dominant gene showing their independent effect. But what happens when they come together? That is what we are going to see here. So when a cross is made between the parent rose comb and another parent pea comb, the F1 generation, what the scientist observed or discovered, that is Bettison and Punnett, what they observed was that the F1 generation chicken were of different type. They were neither of the two parent type. Okay, and that was known as walnut. So walnut means that is it is having a capital R and capital P. Okay, so these two genes are supplementing their effect, and thus they are producing what type of comb? They are producing a walnut type of comb, and this is heterozygous because it is having R and P. Okay, so it is represented as this. So this is what we got it in the F1 generation. Next, what do you have to do? Yes, F2 generation. In F2 generation, what we do? We do an intercross between the walnut. That is, the parent will be, female will also be a walnut and male will also be a walnut. Okay, so we intercross this walnut. So this is the gametes what I have written. Okay, so capital RP, here we have small r and p, and here capital R, small p, small r, capital P, and same here also. So you do a cross. So when a cross is made between the male and the female walnut, what we get? We got this 16 square. And here we have got all capital R and capital P. So it is a walnut. So you can now we'll take this example here. What it is rose. Why? We have already told if there is a single capital R, okay, then it is a rose. So this is also rose and this is also rose. See here, there is capital R. If there is one capital R or two capital R, it is a rose comb type. Okay, because R is here dominant. And next here you can see these three are P combs. Why? Because we have a capital P. See here, this is capital P. Here there is a capital P. There is capital P here. Right? And there is no capital R. So obviously it will be a P comb. So we got 9 walnut. Walnut means there should be at least one capital R and one capital P. See here. Observe everywhere. There is one capital R and one capital P. That is why we get a walnut. Whereas when there is a capital R, okay, then it is a rose. If there is a capital P alone, then it is a peacocke. So we got 9 walnut, 3 rose chicken, 3 peacocke and 1 single. That means here you can see here. That is, this is a recessive type. It is having homozygous R and P both in the represented in the small letters. So it is a recessive variety. And whenever there is a recessive gene, that is small r and small p, it leads to a chicken which is having a single comb. So hopefully you have understood. This is another example for supplementary genes, wherein we get the end result as 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1, taking the example of the comb pattern in chickens. I hope you all have understood it. Happy learning.